Hello and welcome. This is Michelle with PaperStampInk. Thanks for stopping by today, where I'm going to share with you this fun fold card that's sure to wow the recipient, but it's actually very simple to make. So this is how this opens up, and you get this fun center fold. So let's go ahead and get our paper, stamps, and ink and get started. I've done a lot of pre-cutting and even pre-stamping to make this go faster so we can get into the mechanism of the card. Let me remind you that you can hit that red subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you get notifications when I post future video projects. So like I said, I've done most of the cutting, and I will have all of these dimensions on my blog post, and there's a link going to be in the description below, so don't worry about trying to write down all of these dimensions and getting them on a piece of paper, because they'll be right there on that blog post. I start with a piece of Tranquil Tide. This is one of our retiring 2017-19 in colors, so don't forget, if you need any of those, you've just got a little bit of time left to order those through the end of May here. So I've folded this at, or scored it and folded it at 5.5. I have a piece of soft seafoam that is 4 by 5 1/4. And a piece of Tranquil Tide that is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And then I have a piece of soft seafoam that I used the the layering circles. I used the second from the largest on that one, and then I used the stitch circles or stitch shapes set, and I used the second from the largest piece on that for my layering and my stamping. And I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully if I hold up a little bit closer, you can see all the beautiful stitched detail that you get from the stitch shapes. I've got a strip of 3 3/4 by 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch paper to put on. Actually, let's see, is it 1/4 or 1/2? Actually, it's 1/2. Okay, 1/2 inch piece. And then I have for the inside, I have a piece of the soft seafoam that is 4 inches by 10 3/4. So it is just a 1/4 inch smaller on the length and the height than our card base. Now, if you wanted to, you could make it the same size and adjust that. I just like to have that little bit of color showing through there. Then we have our pieces of DSP and white cardstock, the Whisper White, that are going to be our layering pieces for those panels. And these come from the Tranquil Textures, the 2 patterns. And I'm using a stamp set for all of these sentiments that is called Thankful Thoughts. And Thankful Thoughts is also one that's retiring. It's one that is a go-to for me because it has all of these great sentiments and birthday and thank you cards. Those are the 2 most needed cards in most people in their card sending. So this is a great one. If you're looking for a good thank you stamp set, you may consider picking this one up before it goes away. And if you're looking to purchase items, I sure would appreciate your support in my Stampin' Up! Business. It's how I'm able to bring you videos. I have a link to my channel, my website below, where you can order products, and everything that I'm showing you, you can order from my website. I have a couple little strips that I pulled from my scraps, and I'm going to trim those down just to layer on the bottom of those pieces to give them a little bit of extra color. Let's go ahead and get started assembling this. Oh, and I forgot to mention I did use Tranquil Tide for the ink for the stamping. So I've done most of the cutting, but I am going to come in here and we are going to cut this panel down, and I am just going to cut 2 inches off the top of that. And I'm doing that so that I can flip these over and get 2 different colors showing on my front panel. Now, you don't have to do this. If you wanted to just leave that solid, you definitely could. I just think it's a little bit more interesting. I'm going to place this piece here, I think, and yeah, and have the lighter piece on the side. So I just think it adds a little bit more color, and I love designer series paper, so hey, this way I get to see two different sides of that paper. If you are a fan of designer series paper, like I am, don't forget that these are going to go away. We get all new designer series paper with the new catalog. And if you're interested in getting a sampling of all of those, I will be doing a product share for my papers. And if you subscribe to my channel, you'll get a notification when I put that information out. It should be coming out in about a week here. And what a paper share does is it allows you to get a sampling of every one of the new designer series papers. So rather than you having to buy, I think there's 19 or 20 different packs of paper, and rather than you having to buy all of those to get a taste of the papers, you can just buy a share from me, see which ones are your favorites, and then you can purchase full packs of those. When I do my paper shares, you'll also be getting ideas on projects, and there's going to be some free goodies, so make sure that you subscribe so you get notification of when that comes out. So I'm just going to layer these up, and I am going to bring in some dimensionals. It's another one of my things that I love, or the dimensionals. Give me a thumbs up if you like dimensionals as well on your cards. I just think popping those up adds a fun element to every card. Now, you don't want to get too crazy with them if you're mailing stuff. You don't want to pop a layer on top of a layer on top of another layer, or you're going to end up having a hard time getting that through the mail and paying quite a bit of extra postage for it. I'm using my Take Your Pick tool to easily get those little backings off. And my opening is going to go this way, so I'm going to go ahead and put that right on there, and there we've got the outside of our card all ready to go. Let's work on the inside now, and I'm going to bring back my trimmer, and we're going to use the scoring blade this time. And I am going to score this in half, which is 5 3/8. If you're not used to using your trimmer in the dimensions, let me move this down here. These little tick marks, you've got your 16th and then your 8th, and the next biggest size is 1/4 and 1/2 inch. So we're going to do the 5 3/8. So I'm going to use 1, 2, 3 of those 1/8 markers, and I just cut that. Hold on just a moment. Let me grab a spare piece of soft seafoam. Okay, don't do what I just did. Let's not cut the soft seafoam when we mean to score. All right, I'm just going to trim a piece down here really quick. 4 by 10 3/4. There we go. All right, move that cutting blade way out of the way, and we are gonna come back over to our 5 3/8, and I'm gonna score it this time, and then I'm gonna score it again at 2 11/16. So 8/16 would be half. We're gonna go 9, 10, and 11. So that's just before the 2 3/4 mark. I'm going to do that on this side, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing here. All right, get this out of the way, and I'm going to fold in the middle, and then I'm going to fold these pieces the opposite direction, so I get this M shape, or W, depending on which way you look at it. So that's going to create our inside of our card. Let's bring this back out, and you want to be careful with how you're lining this up. So take a moment, make sure you've got it going the proper direction. Don't ask me how I know that you need to take that time. Yes, I've glued mine backwards before, so take a moment and take your time. Make sure that's the direction that you want it to lay. And then I am going to put some Tombow Mono Multi on here. And I'm going to line this up with just a very slight border along the edge. I'm going to go ahead and bring some more Tombow Mono Multi and then bring this piece and slide that over, give it a moment, and there we go. Now we have our panel on the inside. And I'm going to use a couple of these other pieces of paper from the Tranquil Textures Designer Series paper. And it's really up to you how many panels. You could do stamping on these, you could use DSP, you could leave more of them blank for writing. It's really up to your preference. As I've said, I love my Designer Series paper, so I'm using this fun fold to showcase more of those patterns. And just to get even a little bit more pattern in there, I am going to take and put some of these scraps along the bottom of these panels. And you can put it all the way to the bottom. I'm going up about a 1/4 of an inch or so. There's no exact measurement there, but what I am going to do is I'm going to eyeball and have this other one about the same height. And so there we go. If we look at these, I can use my grid paper to line that up as well. It's very handy for things like that. And then I'm just going to flip these over, take my paper snips, trim that down, do the same for this one. No measuring was required. Let's see, I got a little bit of an extra piece there. There we go. And then I'm going to put these on. So this piece goes on the end. And we've got our sending thanks to a very gracious giver from a very grateful getter. So, and there we have our fun fold thank you card. I hope that you enjoyed this. Don't forget that you can purchase any of the items over in my store. I'll have the link below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this project. And until I see you next time, make sure you grab your paper, stamps, and ink and do something creative.